Are we expecting more? Are we expecting more? This thing working? Could I have your attention, please? I'd like to get this meeting started. You see, we have a couple of interested citizens attending tonight. And because of the size of this crowd, I'm going to make a motion that we hear the application of Billadoos first. That's going to be about 15-minute application. Get her out of here, and then we can deal with the rest of it, okay? So I would make the motion to move the application of Donald and Christina Billadoos requesting conditional use approval and variance for a proposed animal boarding trimming facility according to sections 474, 11, 8, 3, 8, 6 of St. Albans Town bylaws, property located 468 Swanton Road in the commercial district within the designated grow area. Do I have a second?
Second that motion.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Donald and Christina, are you here? Okay, why don't you come up in a hot seat? If she would like to give some testimony, that would be fine.
Yep.
I'm going to ask this question, and I think I know the answer. Is anybody here in this audience here specifically to hear this application? I didn't think so. Okay. Mike, would you swear in the applicants?
Do you hereby swear that the evidence you give in the cause under consideration shall be the whole truth and nothing but the truth under the pains and penalties of perjury?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Explain to us what you're doing.
So I have a small building that I'm putting up next to Champlain Commons. It's a
One we
two,
approved last
yeah,
year,
you approved
correct?
last year,
Yeah.
thank you. And it's a 2-unit building. So it is not a single use parcel. And I would like to rent my second unit to Brittany Sweet and her business, which is at this point in time, your zoning requires her to be on a single use parcel. So we are asking that you let her be my tenant.
So that would be the variance portion of this.
Yes.
And are you making any changes to that building to
Yes.
accommodate her?
Yes, specifically, and so I did mention it in the information in the packet here, is that since the building is just beginning to be built, my builder has told me he can soundboard around the dog area. He's already going to be doing some soundproofing in the open space as well. And there will be no outdoor kennels, so we don't have a concern there. And that's about it.
So you're asking for kennel, animal shelter, animal boarding, and veterinary office.
That would be the category.
My personal thought is maybe veterinary office doesn't really do the amount of space, waiting room, surgical area.
It's just dog training. That is all that her business is. Yeah.
Right, but it has nothing to do with the veterinary.
No.
Good. Any questions from the board?
So the footprint's not changing at all, just the foam board on the inside of the building.
Correct, yes.
Is-
Is there any outdoor space?
No,
No
no
fenced in area?
fence, no outdoor fence, no outdoor kennels, no.
Will those dogs be staying overnight?
Possibly at times, yes.
And will somebody be there full time when they're there?
Not overnight. There will
Not
be,
overnight.
no, there will be cameras in the room that they are in.
Other questions from the board? Hearing none. We will take this up in a deliberative session later this evening, and they will have an answer for you.
Super, thank you.
Thank you for coming in.
All right, thank you. Yeah.
What are you looking for? I was thinking that, all right. No, there it is, I got it.
Oh.
I got her.
Just throwing things out.
Carpet consulting.
Yeah, I could use it. All right. Our next application is that of Jake Tardif requesting site plan and conditional use approval for a residential plan unit development for 80 units situated in 8 structures with associated infrastructure in accordance with section 4, 5, 8, 3, and 8, 4 of the St. Albans Town bylaws. The property is located next to 32 Parsons Avenue in the residential district and owned by Concordia Holding LLC. Where is Mr. Tardif and his representative? Would you like to come up here? Good evening.
Good evening.
Why don't, Mike, you swear in these applicants?
Yeah, I did. Oh, so do you hereby swear that the evidence you give in the cause under consideration shall be the whole truth and nothing but the truth under the pains and penalties of perjury?
I do.
You would
Yeah.
think the number of times that guy has had to recite that, he wouldn't have to look at that big.
16 regrets.
Okay, so we have our applicants. Now, what are we gonna do with the rest of you? We have what is known as interested party status in any of these hearings. Those people generally would be anybody that borders the property. Anybody that lives on a road possibly impacted by the traffic. And beyond that, I guess we would have to consider it on a case-by-case basis. So let me ask this question. How many of you individuals here would like to give testimony? Now, in order to give testimony, you need to be an interested party. So if those of you that want to speak, we will sign you up as interested parties. And I gather the rest of you are just here to listen and see what's gonna go on. All right, so we're gonna start this interested party thing. So who's first? Somebody raise your hand. Okay, sir, with the glasses, your name?
Peter Collins.
Peter Thomas, I should have recognized you, but my vision ain't as good as it once was. And how are you impacted by this project?
I'm at 5 Parsons Lane.
5 Parsons Lane, okay,
Directly Funded up against my backyard.
yeah. Next,
Beverly Mason.
Beverly Mason. And you are where?
7 Orchard Street.
7 Orchard Street,
It's a block away.
Orchard. What do you think, AJ, is that a?
I printed the maps behind you.
Well, I know Orchard Street's the street between Fairfax and Parsons, so. Would that qualify?
You could do it as somebody within the neighborhood. If
So-
they have a demonstrable impact from the project,
You're telling me yes, then?
be within your rights to. grant it.
Okay. I'm easily convinced. Who else? You, sir.
Matthew Glidden, live at Fairfax Street, just the main artery feeding into Parsons.
Blipman?
Litzman.
Litch? Okay,
G-L-I-T-M-A-S.
yeah, okay, another? We have an email from you?
You sure do.
Okay, I know who you are.
Okay.
Okay. And are you,
That's what I'm on, I live at 32 Parsons.
okay, you're with her?
Yeah.
Okay, but I suppose do we do interested parties as couples or are they gonna be individuals?
I think you should have each one state their name, but they'll get the same correspondence.
Okay.
AJ, they said they can't hear out there.
Well,
Is there any way we can turn
I
the
could
mic-
probably speak into this thing. I think that's why it's here.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yes,
My name is Sarah Macy. I live at 7 Elizabeth Street. I'm in the neighborhood. My son and I routinely walk on the Parsons Ave and commute on that road.
address again?
7 Elizabeth.
7 Elizabeth. Didn't catch the last name?
Macy, M-A.
Macy. Okay. Okay,
I'm Wendy Fuller.
Wendy Fuller.
I live at 347 Harbor View. And my property.
You in the red?
14 Parsons Lane, Tim Mahoney.
Jim Mahoney. Well, I see a little hand sticking up there. I can't see a person. Yeah, there. 552 Harbor View. I didn't catch the name. Yep. Okay, I see some more hands. Yep. Didn't catch the name. Alice? You've all signed in, so as I slaughter these names on the sheet, I'm sure AJ will straighten it out.
Wendy, 8 Parsons 20.
Edley. 8 Parsons. Boy, more hands keep going up all the time. Yes?
Nancy Allen. 11 Slide Allen Drive.
Allen Drive. And how do you feel you would be impacted by this?
I'm
On Clyde Allen? That really touches that way in the back there?
There's the parcel that is being planned, there's 2 parts. to it.
Yeah.
That being built, this would be like the second part.
Okay, so you go around the back side of Elizabeth
Yes.
Drive, all right, yep. We'll start there by the door. Slow. Feel a bro? Road? Rose, I'll get there. And your address? 29 Parsons. And next. Lynn. What's the address? 2. Who? John, Lynn and John. Adam Bernor, you said?
Yeah.
And the address is what? 31. Hey, look at that, I filled up a sheet. I think I'm gonna stop right there. Yes, sir.
Peter Garcelle.
Peter Garso.
That
15 persons. Are you getting any? Okay, yes, Robin. LaBarm. And your address? Harborview. How we doing here? Yeah, we're gonna get there. We're getting there.
No, I did 44 Parsons Avenue.
44. One more man in the back.
Robert Gissel, Gissel. 33 Parsons Avenue. And put my wife down, Ellen, Elln.
What was your first name?
Robert.
Robert. See, I got the R down, but that's as far as I got.
What was the cost? You know that. My address is 3 Parsons Lane. My backyard abuts the first corner of the first proposed building.
Yeah? What was the first name again? Melissa.
Adam Volga. 27 Parsons. Sorry. I like it.
What was that address?
27 Parsons.
27. Okay, Orchard, you say?
Elizabeth.
18? Elizabeth. Anybody else over there? Yes, sir.
Ben O'Neill, 479 Riverview Drive.
What was the last name again? Say the name.
Neil.
O'Neill, okay. Woman beside you? Yes.
Andrea Gunther, 10 Elizabeth Street.
Okay, now you want to do that again? Again, please, slower. How do you spell that last name? And you are?
10 Elizabeth Street.
Why are you using this? Archie. Huh? Are you using this? No, no. Last name again, Josh? Didn't catch it. Yes. Betsy Holcomb, you said? Address? Oh, come on, it can't be done.
Well, you have some folks on Zoom too.
Oh,
Carrie Home, 1 Elizabeth Street.
Erie with a C or a K?
C.
Last name again?
Home,
Holmes. And you're on Elizabeth?
1.
1 Elizabeth. Last chance. Oh, see that? See that? I got somebody. Yes, sir.
Michael Thomas, 558 Albans Drive.
558 Harbor View. Michael, I didn't catch the last name.
Thomas.
Thomas. Oh, well, I don't know about that. I don't know. Any of you online? Can you hear me? That's gonna be hard to deal with.
Yeah. You tell it's green. They can hear us.
Well, there's somebody. How do you wanna deal with that?
Does anyone on Zoom want interested party status? If so, you need to turn your camera on and request it. Also unmute yourself. Thank you. That's the one.
Bet that board would light up like a Christmas tree. So this lady here is not, is that Shirley Babcock or is that?
No. No, it's. Use this word match.
Can anyone on Zoom just unmute themselves to verify that you can hear us?
I can hear you.
Yeah, nice, thanks.
Somebody can hear us.
So nobody's requesting interested party status from Zoom. All right.
Can you hear us?
Yes.
We are.
Patricia and Jake Connor. And we're at 535 5 Harborview Drive.
Are you
Are
taking that down, AJ?
Was that 535 Harborview?
Correct.
You got the name?
Yep.
Wanna
It's
give it-
Connor with ER.
Jake and Patricia Palm.
Do they know what they're saying? Okay. Is anybody else there on Zoom? Want interested
Yeah,
party status? Yes.
Erin Montgomery, 3 Whitey Drive, which is off of Orchard.
Whitey Drive. Off
Yep.
Orchard.
Right next to Shirley Babcock.
You get that name, AJ? Okay. Anybody else on Zoom? Requesting interested party status?
No. We don't qualify.
Oh, we just had another picture come up.
Shirley Babcock, 4 Whitey Drive.
And a bad copy of that.
Just for information.
Whitey Drive. Whitey Drive. Never even knew we had such a place.
We got one more.
Jan St. Pierre, you requesting interested party status?
Yes, please, 4 Elizabeth Street.
Anybody else? All right. We'll put an end to that. Okay, so we have, I don't know,
33.
$33, $34. I'll have 35, nice round number. So
Question, my next door neighbor can't be here, I wanna get they're on Zoom, but they sent a letter in asking to be an interested party, and I got a copy here. I guess they sent one into the board, but that's something they didn't do.
You have a pile of them right in front.
I know I have a file.
What's their address or name?
Yeah, 6 Farms and Lane, it's Joe and Gary Silverson.
I received that and have given them a copy.
You have that, all right. Okay. So what's gonna happen is our clerk is gonna swear you individuals in who have been named here. Well, first of all, the board is gonna make a motion to grant interested party status to the named individuals. Who's gonna make that motion?
I make that motion.
Who's gonna second that motion?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, you have all been made interested party status to this particular application. Now, Mike is gonna swear you in and you will respond, I will.
Do you hereby swear that the evidence you give in the cause under consideration shall be the whole truth and nothing but the truth under the pains and penalties of perjury?
Thank you. Okay, so now the applicant has the floor. And they are. Who put that thing? They are going to explain their project to us. And during that time, I would appreciate quiet from the audience, and when they get done their presentation, then we will go out to you to hear what you have to say. Are we all in agreement to that? Okay. You have the floor.
Jake Target. Kyle Marchessault, O'Leary Burke.
Speaking to the mic.
My name's Carl Marchessault, I work for O'Leary Burke. Jake Tart.
It's gonna have to show.
My name's Carl Marchessault, I work for O'Leary Burke. Jake Tardif approached me in the fall last year. And he said he wanted to do a multi-unit project. We looked at the regulations, we saw PUD residential uses. He said he had a nice 10-plex townhome project for sale. And I told him, let's take a look at it. He had an architect. He showed me some of the buildings. I thought they were tastefully done. I wanted to target medium, moderate income people that would, buy the units. Something a little bit more affordable than, $600,000-$700,000 range. So I said, okay. So he showed me his 10-unit building and we did a layout because of the property at 32 Parsons. I actually had a history with Alton Lombard too. So Alton Lombard, great guy, came to our office many times, didn't really know what he wanted to do. He passed away, very sad. And then Jake purchased the project and we wanted to do multi-units. So we did this layout and we wanted to do compact development so that we could maximize, sort of the bang for your buck. So we want to get, clustered. We want to do density, and this is what we came up with. So we had wetlands looked at. Errol Briggs came out of retirement. We got a long history with Errol Briggs. He also did the rare plants. We had the gal from the state come out, sort of bless the wetlands, but we haven't reached back out to her. So we've done quite a bit of work. We've done test pits for stormwater, talked to the town about water and wastewater, just because I did Harbor View back in 2004. Harbor View is a different project. We had to knock down the barn in the front, couldn't get the project really going in St. Albans, we decided to do congregate care. There was a little bit of pushback. It's a big 56 unit building, I believe. Congregate care at Harborview is a 56 unit building, I believe. That got the project started circa 2007. Then we did a bunch of residential, single family. And then there was in the back, we wanted to do a lot more density. Those units are 10 feet apart. They're single units. And just, if you look at the map, when you look at the aerial, the density in the back is obviously far in excess of the front. So you have multi-unit in the front, single families in the middle, some duplexes, and then some singles in the back. And so we're surrounded by residential uses. We actually went through the Goodrich project to do water. I think we've got about a mile of water line that we installed for Harborview. So I think that's pertinent to say that, just because across the street, even though in a different district, it's kind of same sort of neighborhood. Those are big multi-unit buildings. So we got a diversity of residential, predominantly, obviously residential. So I didn't really want to put something right in the front here. So we decided we would do a straight stormwater on the side, a couple 90-degree turns that we can modify. We actually have different layouts, but this is the one that we chose in finality to present. And stormwater near the front, buildings, that you're going to see a little further from Parsons Ave to kind of be its own project. We devoted a fair amount of time to not putting units really close to the road. And honestly, we want to honor the wetlands and associated buffers. This project, we wouldn't really be asking for, I don't think we'd necessitate getting even a wetlands permit. Sorry, I got to get closer. Here we go. So is that better?
Yeah.
When I'm looking at the plan, I think that's where I am. Thanks, Brent. I really appreciate that. I lost my train of thought. Sorry about that. It's in a nutshell. I mean, I think I've said everything that I really wanted to say as an introduction. I've read all the staff notes. We can go through them line by line, but I think AJ does a great job. I've been working with AJ for a long time. It was Becky before her. Town of St. Albans has been great. We got a lot of people here. Certainly wasn't our interest or our intent to make anybody unhappy. But I think it is important to note that when things get personal, they get personal. I can tell you right now that I myself lived at 78 Sand Hill in Essex, 1971 units, 700 square feet. I lived there for 3 years. Great community, great people. They were singles. They limited the amount of rentals, and I couldn't even rent my unit. I decided I didn't want to rent my unit. I wanted to sell it. So I turned it around, bought it for $80,000, sold it for $145,000. That's the kind of thing that we want to do here. Obviously not going to start that low. We're in 2025. Everybody's going to realize that. But that's the kind of project we want to do. We want people to have an opportunity to have something affordable that they can own themselves, and they can turn around and make a profit and get something bigger. I started with a condo, then I got a single family, and I got another single family, and then I'm in my single family, and I'm going to die in that house because I'm not moving again. That's my presentation. So I just think it's important for people to realize that we want to build a nice unit. Jake's well-intentioned to do so. That's our project.
I would also like to point out, if that's okay, that we stayed 2 stories and we're maintaining the same look as the surrounding neighborhood, especially up towards Parsons Lane and definitely in Harborview. I'm Jake Tardif. Yes, ma'am. But we're maintaining that 2-story residential look. The only difference is it has multiple units as opposed to a single family home. And that's all I really had to say about that. Thank you.
Let's start out with, you have a screening schedule. Well, you don't really have a schedule, but you have a.
Hey, Brian, do you want to pull that mic right?
Oh, yeah, I got talking to Mike too. Damn, I never done that before. So the first question I'm gonna ask is, I see no perimeter screening anywhere around this lot in the PUD buffer.
Screening in terms of vegetation.
Vegetation, trees. Now, I understand there's some hedge and what have you in a lot of areas, correct?
Sure.
But obviously, some of your neighbors would just soon not look at this if they can avoid it.
Mhm.
So,
My thought is, and that's a great point, the screening. My thought was, though, we wanted this neighborhood to be inclusive with the community. We didn't want to exclude anybody from the beautiful neighborhood that we're trying to develop in. And I understand that that may come off as funny and comical, but my thought was, just because the homes may not be as expensive as the surrounding homes, I don't feel like that doesn't mean anybody can't be a part of the surrounding community. But, well, I mean, that's definitely something, if you feel strongly about that and it holds up project approval, that is definitely a conversation I would be more than willing to have. But again, it was just the thought of having this be its own little community as a part of the neighborhood. The kids will be going to school with these families, children as well. They'll all be riding the same school bus. I just figured we'd all want to be the same community.
I guess you're part of the applicant, are you not?
Thank you, I am. So I'm assuming everyone here tonight is a homeowner in that area,
Yes.
and they have the privilege of
Well, just state your name.
Bonnie
Bonnie.
Johnson.
Bonnie Johnson. And how are you
Yes.
associated with this?
I am part of Concordia Holdings.
Okay. Okay.
So with the privilege of home ownership that everyone has here, I'm assuming they bought these homes quite a bit ago, or when things were more affordable.
Well, some of
The-
some of them are fairly,
The people we are targeting to move into this area are people that deserve that same opportunity to have the home ownership, the first time buyers, to be able to have some pride in ownership. In this neighborhood, this development that we're thinking of is an inclusive type of neighborhood. And I don't think home ownership should be exclusive to just people who can afford $400,000, $500,000, $600,000, $800,000 homes. Not everyone can afford that. Single mothers who make a great income and pay just as much for rent as they do as someone would for a mortgage, in a $345,000 mortgage puts them into home ownership. So to laugh and think that we can't build a neighborhood that could be inclusive of families that have just as much pride in ownership as these individual single family and multifamily owners in this area feels kind of discriminatory for people being able to make that transition from rental to home ownership. So that's what we're trying to build, is something that people can be proud of for their first time ownership. And like Carl said, owning it and then selling it and advancing to where most of these individuals here have had the privilege to be. We're just trying to give people like veterans who need that first time mortgage are people who are in their first income producing jobs, the ability to have ownership. So if screening is important to some of these individuals and they don't want to see this neighborhood in their backyard, that's understandable. They have pride in their ownership. They don't want their backyard to back up to a multifamily development of families. Those are things that we can talk about. But to say that this is absurd and a ridiculous idea to make this an inclusive neighborhood feels, like I said, kind of discriminatory towards individuals who deserve that opportunity for homeownership. So we're willing to talk about whatever it is that you think would make this inclusive, but don't exclude it because it's a multifamily. We're not renting. We're not building Section 8. We're building ownership and pride. That's all I have to say.
You threw out a number there of 345. Is that?
345, 349.
That's your target price? Yeah.
Yes.
Well, you're not planning on renting at all?
None of them will be rented. And as far as homeowners purchasing these units and then having the ability to rent it, it will be very minimized if possible. There.
Hold on.
Hey!
Hold on.
So in our HOA bylaws that we draft, we're allowed to say what you can and can't rent. Our preference would be as developers that there are no rentals allowed whatsoever. But I think I may have read somewhere, and again, I apologize, but I think there was a recommendation or a requirement that 1 unit per building, homeowners have a waiting list or something like that, where they're able to have a long-term rental. But
let me be more specific to the rental part of it. For these to qualify for financing, they have to own the piece of land beneath them, and there can only be so many rentals delegated in that. Otherwise, lenders don't want to lend to it. Nobody wants, short-term rentals as their neighbor. Nobody wants to buy a unit and turn around and rent it. So for us to be able to sell these units, you have to minimize the number of rentals. It's not saying that a homeowner can't rent their unit, but they limit a percentage. And I think it's like a very minimal percent, like 1% or 2% or something. And don't quote me on that because I'm not sure. But lenders do minimize that. You can't rent your unit. And as Jake said, HOAs can limit any, you can create the HOA to limit rentals or no short-term rentals, only long-term rentals kind of thing.
But just to be clear, we aren't retaining units for rental. We're not building any of these for us to rent. These are all going to be sold. Every single unit will be sold. No unit will be retained and rented by us.
By you.
Hey, I'll get your chance.
And not to say if it would make everybody feel better, and it's not a conversation that we can't have. We have to talk to our lawyer about this, but I'm quite sure that we could draft into the HOA that rentals aren't allowed, period. If everybody would feel much better about that.
The only shortcoming to that is as long as we're on board, we can control it. Once ownership leaves our hands and all the buildings are sold, we'll be voted out and a new HOA board will be formed, and they would have the right to make their own, adjust their rules and regulations as they so choose.
Unless, of course, the condition of approval was that there was no rentals, then they would not be.
Correct. And again, that's for the attorney to.
And just to point out, I don't think in terms, say, one person buys a unit and thinks, oh man, I'm going to rent this thing out. I would assume, living in prior HOAs, that the majority of the homeowners in that area wouldn't want rentals in their building. Typically, people that rent usually don't take as much pride in that building as the homeowners do.
Why we're not targeting rent.
I don't know if this helps, but I provided them a document from where I lived, and I think the number was, I believe it was 10%. So they had an allowance because, you know, something happened to a significant other, or whatever have you, and they decided it had to be sold or something. And there were certain circumstances, but they limited it. It was pretty limited. It was like 10%. So I think there was 36 units where I was, and maybe it was, yeah, I think it was 36 units, and there can only be 9, something like that.
You've seen the fire department's remark about this,
We did.
and
Well, actually, we just saw him today because we didn't
Okay.
get that email.
Yeah, I mean, that was awkward. I'm not sure what happened with their emails, but it's totally fine. We're in receipt of it. And, you know, Jake mentioned to me just now when we looked at it together that we're going to go talk to the fire chief, move some hydrants around.
well, he feels that the development's a little bit compact. They like to be able to get around buildings with their apparatus, you know, in case they gotta put a ladder up, get someone out a window, whatever. So my question to you is, would you consider scaling this back? Not 10-unit buildings, maybe more 6-unit buildings, some 4-unit buildings.
It would be a discussion that could be had. It would definitely be a discussion that I'd want to have with the fire chief so we can get what they need and what makes them happy, and then team up with Carl and figure out the best course of action to satisfy those needs.
And you know how tight storage facilities are. And that was a concern of the fire department. So what they did is they actually drove their truck out and drove it through all the buildings and discovered that they can get around. So I think maybe they're not seeing, you know, the ability or the, you know what I'm trying to say. I think they may be overthinking it a little bit.
Questions from the board?
One thing to consider about the fire access, I think they did it here, is road base put in around the building, but they put grass on it.
Sure.
So the trucks can drive on it.
Hard surface, but it still blends in with the landscaping. I'll write that down.
Okay.
All right, at present, you own just this lot, you do not, do you own the other lot?
No, we don't own the abutting lot.
Okay.
The current lot that we own currently, I think,
1047 is right on the plan.
there you go.
1047, these buildings are not on individual lots. In a PUD, the building does not need to be on an individual lot.
So Brent, I just recently encountered this on another project, and I will not try to explain it because it's kind of lawyer jargon, but it's like a building on a floating piece of land that I don't remember the attorney's name. It doesn't matter. But we did a project in Fairfax, and they were basically like footprint lots, but it was all basically for purchase. So I know something like that exists because we just did it like a couple of years ago, but I think it's the same attorney that would do something like this here. So we don't show that on the plan, but eventually I think there's a better marketability for selling units if they're like footprinted or something like that. So
Well,
we may do that, but
We have
they,
in the past been required to do that from loaning institutes. So,
Mhm.
so
Yeah.
these projects have come back to us and been footprint lot around.
no,
And Fairfax, if that's the one you're speaking.
Yeah,
of.
that-
And they were footprint lots, Brian did them for us, and to be able to lend to a homeowner for that, they do have to be footprint lots. It's not impossible, just more difficult.
It depends on the institution.
Correct, yeah.
we didn't start that way just because it just clutters the plan, but eventually it'll be like an ugly plan with a bunch of boxes on it, probably.
Other questions from the board?
So the pond out front, who's gonna maintain that? Is that an HOA thing? or-
Yeah, it's HOA. I mean, we're encountering that on these 3-acre projects right now. We got about a 25 that we're doing. It's a real nightmare. Nobody wants to take these things over. It's unfortunate. There's agreements out there. I've seen them. Towns don't want to be responsible for anything. I can't say that I blame them, but they own all the infrastructure and the roads. We're not asking for that here. I mean, it's compact, so we're not going to be asking, I think, to take over a road. We don't show a road right away. It's gonna be a private road. That was our intention, neighborhood, private road, parking lots, buildings, stormwater, all encompassing, for the project.
How
Correct.
does that work when, you only got maybe 15 rented or 15 homes?
So
Well,
go ahead, Carl.
I mean, typically what I see is everything driven by stormwater is paid by impervious coverage. And as much as people say, well, I should just be, if I'm 8 lots, I should be 1/8. That's not fair. Whoever's got the most amount of impervious pays the most. And if you own 1/80th or whatever of the impervious, then that would be your allotment. That would be the intention here. You'd be 1/80th if it's 80 units of the impervious. That's the best way to divvy it up that we've seen. Because impervious right now at the current state rate is $860 an acre. And it's $160 per operating fees per acre. So that's the fairest way to do it, is by impervious. That's the way I've seen it all done. Talk to the state on a weekly basis. That's what they say too. So that's the way we would do it.
Well, in the town of St. Albans, they're gonna charge them $50 anyways, because they do it to everybody. And then they can go from there.
Yeah, Colchester does the same thing. South Burlington, I think Williston now. I think Essex is hidden, but I think they're hammering us too. So yeah, you just gotta sit back and enjoy it. That's what they do.
So I saw on you're drawing, no fence around trash, nothing like that.
We started off pretty basic as a layout, and we're willing to do whatever. I've seen a lot of different ones. In fact, in some towns, I can't believe it's manifested itself to this level, but we actually have a photograph of what something is going to look like in certain towns because they won't accept anything else. But the answer to your question is we're willing to talk and be negotiable about whatever you want the dumpster enclosure to look like.
There will be a thing.
Oh, yeah. There'll be something, yes. I mean, some of them are even buildings. Not sure if we have to resort to that level, but it really depends on the problem.
Yeah, I only saw one spot. I couldn't imagine 80 units in.
Well, I see 2 spots. Is there more than 2?
2. I think you're 2.
There are 2 spots, one down the front, one up in the back. So, I
I mean, big trash trucks like straight lines at 4 o'clock in the morning, but that's not where they're going to come. I mean, they go to commercial businesses and usually they hit places like this at 8, 10 or 2, and they want to be straight lines. So that's what we try to do.
Is there a lighting proposed?
We weren't proposing any lighting simply because all the multi-unit developments that I've seen, I really like the idea of having individual lights. We didn't do a lighting plan. Actually, I spoke about this with Jake in our parking lot at the office, and I said, this is what RAB lights look like in a parking lot. It looks commercialized. Not opposed to that. However, I like minimal lighting, and I think it'd be better if everybody had an individual light. And also what I was thinking is we would proportion like 4 lights that would automatically come on and be motion activated, but we didn't get to that level at this stage. So we certainly want to do lighting. We just haven't finalized what it is we're going to do for lighting.
So at this point in your project, you have not applied to the state for stormwater or anything like that?
Back in February, Jake said, go full tilt and go for it. And I said, nope, we have to go local first. That's why we're here.
He's good, right?
Yeah, he's right.
Step one, that's where we're at.
Other questions from the board?
Has there been a traffic study done at all?
We have not done a traffic study. Well, I mean, I guess I got to elaborate on that. Jeff Green is the Act 250 coordinator, and he has since retired. He asked us to do a traffic study at Harbor View, and I did it. So I can tell you that I was actually so intimate with it that I went and actually did the actual count and didn't send some of my young bucks to go up there and do it because I wanted actually to see the Route 7 traffic that goes through Milton. For some reason, it gets really bad in Milton. Route 7 in St. Albans is pretty quiet. It was kind of remarkable to see that the traffic between Harbor View in 07 to when I redid it in 16 was actually less. Now, it's a glimpse in time. I don't do Mondays and I don't do Fridays. I think you have to look at when the next, this is how we do it. This is how I do it anyways. You have to look at when vacations, you have to look at when holidays, and then you do it on a Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. That's the best representation of traffic. And it's remarkable how consistent it is. So the answer to the question is, we have done traffic studies on Route 7 corridor in St. Albans. We have not done one to incorporate this project.
In your experience, are you finding the chip generation manual to be fairly accurate? Or does it vary considerably from project to project?
Well, to be completely frank, it varies a little bit. I think the IT does do a good job. We're required to use the latest edition. Obviously, we have it. When they talk about 1 or 2 trips, I think it's slightly less on the residential side. I think it's post-COVID. I think there's a lot of people that want to work from home. I think it's changed the whole world. It has. I mean, whether we like it or not. But generally speaking, they're pretty accurate. It's just that I got to say, like, I live on Hillside Circle now, and there's a 132 unit project. And I think, I don't know how it's possible. I can go to work at 7:30, between 7:30 and 8 o'clock, and have that intersection not be clogged with traffic. Usually I'm second or third in line to take a left at the peak hour. It's not a lot for 132 units at the end of my road, and plus all of the development in my neighborhood. So it's amazing how dispersed traffic is. It really is. It's not like IBM, oh my God, everybody's going to work at 8 o'clock or whatever it is. Residential is just not like that. Because everybody has varying jobs, and some people say, hey, you know, I got to get in and get out. I go to work at 6:30. I go to work at 7. Go to work at 7:30. There's varying levels of time, and that's what makes this sort of disbursement of traffic.
Other questions from the board? Hearing none. Anything to add? Your project.
I mean, I would like the board to ask any other questions that are really pertinent, because we're here, and I really do feel it's important that we meet the needs of the boards, but I know that it's also important to hear from all the neighbors. But if you guys have anything else, we'd be more than happy to write it down, and so we can think about what the next steps should be.
Vermont, it's no secret, is in a housing crisis. And the rental market The availability for rentals is very slim. The rents are astronomical right now. I believe the state is funding plenty of money towards the homeless, but there is nobody taking care of first-time home buyers. There's no programs for first-time home buyers. They don't have a chance to get out of the apartments. They are relegated to apartment living. And this is an opportunity to give 80 families an opportunity to get out of apartments and to have ownership. And I think there's a lot of value to that. It opens up homes for other people in the rental market to move these 80 families into home ownership.
Do you have an idea of how many school-age children that you're looking at maybe would impact the local school?
These are 2 bedrooms, right? We're doing 2 bedrooms. So that limits the number of children that you can have in a unit, of course. So, I mean, if you said every family had 1 child, every family has 2 cars, that'd be 80 children. It just makes sense. It just makes sense for taxes. It makes sense for the community. It makes sense for ownership.
I'm sure the board has seen it. Act 250 publicizes a document about, the sort of demographics of units and the anticipated school age children. And Milton is a good example that we actually followed up on and confirmed, whether it was high or low, and it was pretty close to the target, believe it or not. So that information that goes to Act 250, I mean, we could pull it up ahead of time and we could look at that to give you a more realistic figure. But yeah, that's really difficult. And like Bonnie said, I mean, when you're targeting 2 bedrooms, it's, maybe somebody's divorced and they want to buy a unit. Maybe somebody has, like I don't know. It's just, there's a lot of different demographics, but there's really a lot less school age children, obviously, in 2 bedroom units.
The project that I did in Fairfax that I told you about, we opened up the same thing. We sold them much cheaper, but the people, no one, and they were two bedrooms. No one had children. They were in college. Their parents bought them a home. They were military. They were students who had just gotten married. They were snowbirds who were downsizing. But it was affordable for them. They were people who wanted to live here 6 months out of the year and in Florida the other 6 months. So it's just a huge, diverse, market that we're trying to target, but none of them were children. None of them had children.
I'd like to make one more comment. The way this project came about is, as a veteran myself, after I got out of the military, I got into the workforce, I got my degree, I got my professional job, making what I thought was great money. I said, awesome, here I go. I'm gonna use my VA home loan. I'm going to use my new job and I'm gonna be a homeowner. But guess what? This was right at about 2019, moving into 2020. No homes available because they were all so expensive. You know what I mean? I couldn't get a house. I couldn't get a house for under $400,000 at that time. Now those same homes are $600,000. And so I spoke with Bonnie, and we had a couple different options in this neighborhood. And I said, let's do something that is relatable to me, where we're able to give people this opportunity for the home ownership at what is considered now an affordable price. Thank you.
So sorry to interrupt, Brett. I just want to say one thing. I actually didn't know, so I asked Bonnie. So the 8-unit building that we did in Fairfax, you know, is 2 bedrooms. It was at 0 for 8 school-age children. I mean, I didn't even know that. I didn't know who the people had moved in, but I do now. So anyways, I asked her, that was the number.
You have a phasing plan for this development, correct?
Yeah, we do.
So what does that entail?
Pretty much like 2 buildings at a time, initial infrastructure coming in. Hang on. So the reason primarily that we're phasing it is because of the construction general permit, that's part of it. If you try to open up too much land, I mean, it's just a pain in the butt with the state, so the phasing plan is on sheet 10.
And that's,
So it's basically first building because we don't want to open up too much, and we'd like to kick off the project with just 1 building just to see what the interest level is going to be and how quick they're going to sell. And also we have a fair amount of infrastructure. And then we want to build, you know, the second phase, which would be, well, that's subject to debate, but I think I'd rather see phase 2 as the northerly phases, because I want to see all the stormwater stuff go in and get established so that grass is abundant and the systems are all stable, because I don't want to have any impacts to the wetlands. I don't want to have any problems with the state in the A&R.
so you would do infrastructure, 1 building first year.
Yeah.
And
So
then-
if you look at sheet 10, that's the best way to look at it.
Well, that's bad.
I'll come up and sit with you if you want.
My sheet 10's a lot bigger than yours.
And the phase part of it helps with the impact of the traffic also. It's not suddenly there's 80 buildings out there, you're dealing with 160 cars. It's build a building, sell it, start the second building. And it's a gradual change.
So you're looking at, you know, best case scenario, maybe 5-year build.
We're hoping 3.
Three.
It'll go the first building, the second building.
Well,
I mean, I don't want to burst anybody's bubble, but I thought we were going to be done Harbor View and we're about half done.
But you did hit some pretty bad years.
Yeah, we lost 9 units when we went from duplexes to condo or to carriage units, and I really don't think it has super positively changed much, but that's subject to debate as well.
Any other questions from the board? These units are all on slabs, cross wall slab.
Yes.
The first floor of all these buildings are on a concrete slab, cross wall slab on top.
What we've envisioned for this neighborhood also is, you know, a park area, an area where they can have a garden, an area where they can grill and have, you know, if somebody is celebrating a birthday or whatever, they've got a gazebo and they can have a family picnic. So, you know, we just see it as this little community development that is geared towards families and, you know, people who just want an ordinary life.
I don't see any space in this particular thing for many.
I agree. As I said, we have an option on the second lot.
So Brett, we did a project in Williston and I did talk to my clients about community gardens, gazebos, bicycle storage. I'm not anti-bicycle in any way, but I can tell you right now, the really expensive bicycle sheds, nobody's going to put a $5,000 bicycle or whatever, $1,000 bicycle. You can spend $10,000 on a bike now, I guess. I wouldn't, but anyways, the emphasis of this is to say it's just not useful. But I do think community gardens, some people really take to it. Gazebos, gathering areas, stuff like that. The project I'm doing in Williston right now, they pushed it really, really hard. So we can definitely do some integration of that sort of thing into the project. So we wanted to start here and see how this would be received.
All right, so you presented all you're planning to present. The board's asked all the questions you want to ask. So I think we're gonna go out here into the audience to see what they have to say, and I'll warn you right now, there's 35 individuals on this list. I don't need all 35 of you to say the exact same thing. Just keep that in mind. You know, after the first half a dozen has said their piece, if you don't have anything additional to add, maybe there's no real benefit to hearing more. So I'm gonna start this off, and I'm gonna let the most impacted person speak first, and that would be you. You can speak from there.
Okay, I'll try to be loud.
You know, if you need a mic, we can put that mic over on the corner of the table for you.
Okay.
Okay, so.
Can you hear me?
Just
Oh, yeah.
state your name.
Yep. I'm good. Thanks. Just state name, that was it?
Yes, state
Okay.
your name.
All right. My name's Lisa Dumbledore and I'm addressing you, correct?
Right.
Okay. I
Yes.
live at 32. Oh, sure. Oh, better? Okay. I live at 32 Parsons Ave, directly abutting the proposed development site. You already received my initial list of concerns in writing, and I do have a revised version that I'd like to hand in to be part of the official record tonight. I'd like to briefly highlight the key points that most directly affect the neighborhood and our property. We moved to St. Albans for its small town character, green space, and peace. We support housing that is sustainable, neighborhood appropriate, and backed by adequate neighborhood infrastructure. This proposal does not meet those standards. 80 units and 172 parking spaces will bring permanent traffic, noise, and light impacts. We've already seen major congestion from just the temporary closure of Fairfax Road. This project would multiply that many times over. The current water and sewer lines were not built for this scale. We're concerned about sewer backups, reduced household water pressure, whether hydrant capacity for fire protection will be compromised, a full traffic study by independent party, and a full capacity analysis should be required before approval. The current site plan even shows snow storage in a corner that drains directly into the already wet wetland right beside our property that will worsen runoff and flooding, and it needs to be rethought. The application also says these will be owner-owned, but that is not guaranteed. They could start out that way, be sold to bulk to a management company, becoming rentals or even short-term rentals, which would change the character and density impacts of our neighborhood. I asked the board to clarify what enforceable mechanisms exist to ensure true owner occupancy. If the project moves forward, I request enforceable conditions for my property, an 8-foot privacy fence and double row of evergreens with a survival guarantee installed before construction begins, downward facing shielded lighting with a post-installation audit, dust mitigation to protect our garden, solar panels, and home, relocation of dumpsters away from our property line with odor and fencing, drainage plan ensuring no runoff toward our property, and then I have a full written list to be, again, put into the record. Thank you for listening to our concerns.
Okay, I'm referring to my list here now, so. Peter Thomas.
So if you look at the plans, I'm the second one up. So right here, you guys said you approved everything. There's a pond right here that's been there for 100 years. They're gonna fill that in? I mean, is there like a Act 250 review some of this stuff?
It's like cow pond.
It's not a designated wetland.
We had it.
From what the little research I've done, it hits every one of the points of a wetland. It has migratory birds landing in it all the time. It's been there for 100 years. They supplied that farmhouse for cattle from that pond. That pond's been there. Well, we used to hike over there when I was 6 years old. It's been there for, 100 years. So you could just come along and fill that in. Now, also this swale over here, being dry right now, if you walk in there, you could probably only get your feet wet until you get down to here. But in the spring, if you were to fall in here, you'd probably be sucked right down through. There's so much water coming through there. Now, you can have all this pavement, all this roof, and it's all going, and over here is the actual headwaters of Rug Brook, one of the most impacted brooks in the city. And this is all going to be running into there. So right here, they don't want to put any screening because they want to be inclusive. I want to see them, 20 or 30 cars coming in and shining their lights into my backyard. Even if you put screening in there, they did it between us and Harborview. They did a real nice job, but it took 10 years, to finally, to actually be a screen. I'm turning 70. I'm probably on the 10-year program, so it's not going to do me any good. The road down here, I do a lot of walking. It's a narrow, there's no markers on the side. There's no center line. There's a C curve there. That's about as dangerous as you can get. When they closed Fairfax Street, it was a nightmare over there. You couldn't walk anymore. It was just constant traffic. And the reason they closed Fairfax, they did bank enhancement and a bigger culvert to handle the water that comes down this swale. Now you're going to build this and you're going to double, triple the amount of water going down through there. It's just absolutely ridiculous proposal as far as we're concerned. That's all I got to say.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
This would probably go a lot faster. We could refrain from all the applause. Beverly Mason.
So I have a couple of comments. And I don't know if I did the math correctly or not, but you're saying that you're selling these for $345. They are 680 square feet units. That would make it five.
No. You got double the 680. They're 1360.
Oh, they're 1360.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're two-story.
Gotcha. Well, then maybe I have that calculation wrong. As far as the idea of being able to, first-time homeowner, for $345,000 is, on the high side. And, I also believe that, it's too dense for the area. I think that, looking at, duplexes or condos might be a better solution for that area. It would definitely fit better with the community as well. The road on Parsons is also extremely narrow. And looking at, I don't know, you were talking about your particular situation, sir, with the traffic added onto yours. I don't know what kind of road you had coming in and out of that area, if it was as narrow as Parsons, but that would be something to be considered as well. I think that's enough.
Okay, thank you. Sarah Macy.
Thank you. I don't want to lean over. My name's Sarah Macy. As you just said, I live on Elizabeth Street. You have a letter detailing my concerns, and I have a few things to add this evening. I heard a discussion this evening about this particular development as a neighborhood. And I would like to point out that we already are a neighborhood. When I look at our area, I look at maybe Parsons Lane, Parsons Ave, Orchard, Philomena, Elizabeth Street, and Whitey Drive. Really like tertiary roads, if you will. We have Route 7, 104, Fairfax, sorry guys, connects those two, but we really have lesser traffic over in this area. When I look at an aerial photo of this, we primarily have single-family homes. We have duplexes, a few triplexes, a couple of buildings that have been broken into apartments, and we have a couple of landed mobile homes. We have a wide range of housing prices. We just had a 4-bedroom, single-family home sell on Orchard Street for about $330,000 on a third of an acre. And so I would contend that we do have the variety of housing in place in this area to attract buyers of all stages of life and economic means. We can all agree that Vermont needs housing. We need quality housing that fits the characteristics of our neighborhood and enhances what we have in place already. And I think that we can look at the surrounding streets and see the variety of duplexes, triplexes, single-family homes, and come to an agreement on something that would really extend that character into this highly desirable lot. This is a great place to extend our existing neighborhood, and we can all be one neighborhood. I'd like to specifically point out that the bylaws, section 4.5 and 8.3.1 state that first 4.5, the purpose of the residential district, I know you all know this by heart, but is to provide areas for residential development that maintains the characteristics of the existing neighborhoods. See my previous comments. And also in 8.3.1, it references the existing characteristic of the zoning district. And so I will let you read through my other comments at your leisure. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Wendy Fuller?
Hi there. You probably can hear me, so do I need a mic?
No, you sound just great.
All right. So, I have given you a letter, and attached to that letter is a petition with approximately 200 signatures from all the surrounding residents. So the concept that in the letter, I won't go back over most of it, but the concept I want to push back on the most is that developers don't develop property out of the goodness of their heart. They don't. And in fact, I'm sorry, Mr. Marchessault, is that right?
Yes.
Sorry. When Mr. Marchessault was talking, one of the things he said, quote, "We were trying to maximize the bang for our buck." That's what these units are. And let me tell you how I know. Miss Johnson used to be Miss Turner. And what is relevant to that is that her and her husband, I don't know if they're still married, but Armin Turner at one point used to own the Cadillac Motel. And as everybody in this room knows, there were 2 buildings that were built next to the Cadillac Motel.
Does this really have anything to do with this?
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like that.
Yes, it does, because I'm talking about owner occupied. Let me if I can get there, please.
Bonnie and Armand are divorced. They don't develop together anymore. It's
But-
totally different project.
Having information about the developers who are proposing this project is important. And it's important.
Has nothing to do.
So the reason why feel that this is important to the board is that there was a pitch by the developers that this is to bring families into this area. There was a pitch by the developers that this was not going to be rentals and it was not going to be Section 80. So the reason why this is relevant, there's 2 properties. There's the Cadillac property. There's also a 3 buildings, multi-units in Fairfax that were developed by the Turners, by Ms. Turner or Ms. Johnson. The reason why it's relevant is that those properties all turned into rental properties. They attempted to sell the Cadillac Motel properties, which are very similar in scale and size, and I've attached that to my letter. They look identical almost to what they proposed to build. They tried to sell the Cadillac Motel properties. It was called Vista on the Hill. They tried to sell them. They were on Zillow. You could see them on realtor.com, and they were not able to do so. I don't begrudge them for turning them into rentals, but this is not out of the goodness of their heart. They sold that Cadillac Motel, the Vista on the Hill, for $3.1 million to the Champlain Housing Trust. And several of those units right now, 15 in fact, are now Section 8 housing. Everybody deserves housing. That's not the problem. It is not the problem. We need housing. And I will agree with the developers that what we need is middle income housing. We need strong, single family homes that are detached from other people, that have garages and green space. We need that housing because I think that will help St. Albans grow. If we have this middle income housing, we're gonna pull people from Chittenden County. We're gonna pull them from Burlington. They're gonna wanna come to St. Albans to live. But where they're not gonna come to live are units like this. These units in the inside, the usable space is no bigger than 12 feet across in many of those units. We're not pulling families from Burlington to come live here for that. They couldn't get them to live in the Cadillac properties. They couldn't get them to live on the properties in High Bridge in Georgia that they built. They are aware of that. So this concept of like, you know, we of privilege have homes, I have to push back on that. The developers are the people that are here looking to make money off the sale of these things. We are looking to just preserve what we have, what we've built. And that is what I urge this board to look at. I would just echo the thing about the pond. My property directly abuts the pond, and it is functioning. It's been there for as long as I've been there. I have a call into the state of Vermont. They did not call me back. I'm shocked that that was either reviewed as a wetland and determined not to be one, because there are peepers and native plants all over the place. So I don't know how that board considers this, but that is a facet that needs to be figured out before we go any further. That whole area also around the pond and in the back of my property. I also live next to folks who, there is a natural spring that goes between my property and the property next to it. And there is so much water in the spring that it actually, you know, it sits on the top of my lawn. You can't, you know, so those are all considerations for projects that are going to land directly right in back of that. That whole area is wet. I'm not a developer, I'm not a builder, I don't know how these things work, but surprised that you could even build there. So thank you for your time.
Tim Mahoney?
Just wanted to ask him a clarifying question of the previous.
I think I just like to say that the proposed project is not fit the layout of our neighborhood that we have now. There's no two-story apartment or single family homes or whatever, but the traffic impact, you talk about disbursement of traffic between 6 o'clock in the morning and 9 o'clock in the morning. It's going to be all day traffic, whether it's dispersed all at one time or throughout the day. We walk up and down that road, that street, Parsons Avenue. It's not meant for that much traffic. We're talking about 3 years. It's not going to be a good place.
Nikki Paquette?
I submitted a statement to AJ and questions to the board. You can read at your leisure or answer them at your leisure. My name is Nikki Paquette from Harborview Drive. And as a property owner in the Harborview homeowners community, I oppose the proposed construction of the 80 densely populated housing units, which is directly adjacent to our community. And while I recognize and respect the importance of providing diverse housing opportunities, especially to veterans, I believe that the current proposal presents numerous challenges that could significantly undermine the character, security, and well-being of the existing neighborhoods and residents. And while I support the broader goal of expanding housing availability, this 80 densely populated housing units does not, the consequences diminish community character, increase traffic and safety risks as people have proposed, environmental degradation, depressed property values, and overburdened local amenities far outweigh any potential benefits. And I respectfully request that the city planners, the Development Review Board, reconsider this proposal and seek alternative solutions that promote sustainable, harmonious growth for all. Thank you.
Eddie Leahy.
Yes, 8 Preston Plain. They submitted a letter to AJ. The fire speakers captured my thoughts. My wife and I are totally against this project as proposed.
Okay, thank you. Nancy Keller.
I'm Nancy Keller, and I live at 11 Clyde Allen Drive. I also oppose this project as for reasons as already mentioned, but I would like to add one consideration. I'm a veteran educator, a public school educator, and also a parent of 2 grown children that went to school here in St. Albans. And because of the children, my children going to school here in St. Albans, I got to be part of the community. As a teacher, I get to see parents who come in and there's a community around and created by their children. So to make it a selling point that housing won't be big enough to have a family and have children tells me that that's a different kind of investment in our community. While I recognize the need for affordable housing, my home currently would be considered an affordable home. I believe then that we could build more single-family homes and have families with children, because I find that way the community becomes more enriched. Thank you.
I think I missed an Alice. Is there an Alice out there somewhere?
Yeah, right there.
Okay, I think I missed you.
So,
What up to the mic, please? Thought you'd get away with sitting in the back.
I know. It's just a couple comments. So I'm the Natural Spring property at 365 Harborview Drive, and that is a serious concern. Our property is always soaking, sopping wet. So the other, I guess, consideration would be our property would back up directly to this project and the units, mainly the commercial dumpster. And so a consideration would be to move these to a non-residential houses, an area where it's away from houses, and also in a building if possible. And also, can you clarify the size of the project lot, excluding the wetlands? Because to me, it seems like there is a lot of stuff going on in a small piece of property. That's all I have. Thank you.
Of the 10 point whatever acres there is there, how much of it has been excluded because of wetland buffers, PUD
So the blue line is the wetland that was delineated and the pink line is the 50-foot associated buffer because it's a class 2.
But you,
And it might be, I'm guessing a couple of acres, but we didn't calculate that.
and, having been involved.
I mean, it's pretty obvious on the plan, like the area that it occupies, but we just didn't calculate. It's an easy thing to calculate. We can obviously do that. But our intention is to not impact those buffers and the associated wetland.
Having been involved in Harborview yourself, do you know how many units are in Harborview right now?
With 203, and then it went down to, I think 197, something like that.
So that's the total build.
No, 186. I think
That's the total build out?
I think so, yeah.
So, I mean, they're not even half done there then.
No, well, close.
Close.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, permitted in 04, started construction in 07. Congregate care was the kickoff, and then Bill Fitzgerald did a lot of single families, and then it was moving so slow that he decided that he wanted to remove some of the duplexes and trade them to carriage units. But yeah. That's a big parcel, and then we put solar in the back, but I don't know if he was really part of that. Yeah.
Sheila Rose?
I don't think you can compare fire department access to storage unit access. It's completely different. These are people living in.
Okay, about Elaine and John Blewett.
One stat that I'd like to point out, Napa Springs issue, our backyard from Harborview, we can't even use our backyard along the line. We had, Montaigne come down, look at it, and he said, dig it. And I said, we don't own that property. He goes, well, that's my clue, dig it, Elton property. That's we found that the lot property. My second point is, someone mentioned that Elton, with his intention, he sat in my living room in 2023. He told me he did not want more than 7 to 9 units out there. So when whoever said they had spoken to him, I'm under oath, I'm telling the truth. He's got right in my living room to mention that. The other point I'd like to make is, someone mentioned that the gentleman in the middle, that he had moved up places and finally found his home where some people will die there. Well, I did the same thing. I built my house in 1984. We had property before that in the city. I didn't want to live in the city. I didn't want to live in Chittenden County. I wanted to live where I live because when we hear these people say this is going on in Milton, this is going on here or there. Well, we're not Chittenden County. We're Franklin County. Proud of being Franklin County, and that's what we should be proud of. You know, I mentioned that I know people around the city council and the structure on Lake Street, 5% is what's causing us to go down here. So it doesn't have to be 10%, less than that, a lot of this. Thank you.
I grew up in Richford. I mean, don't use it against me.
Well, you should have stayed there. That's affordable. The Bernars.
Here, so everybody can hear me. I think everybody, for the most part, covered the point. But I was at open house on Tuesday night for my son's school. And he had 20 students in his 3rd grade class. You're talking, and I'm very confused at this point about the project. You've talked about snowbirds buying it and single individuals, but then you talk about building a family and communities. Our school system, as it is today, cannot support 80 families. That would require multiple buses. The bus routes are already full. They've had to get more buses this year. There's not enough drivers. There's not enough educators. So, as a property taxpayer, I also am concerned that if this flips to rentals, our property taxes will then again increase as they just increased. How much? That's all I have to say. Please consider that and thank you.
Well, you'd be happy to know page 1 is done.
You missed me.
Who did I miss? Were you on page 1? Your name?
Matthew Blitzman.
Oh, maybe I did miss you. Yeah, now I can't even find the damn page. Oh,
Number 3.
all right. What did I do? Right.
Number 3.
Matthew Littman.
He was like number 3.
Doesn't matter, I remember you.
Yeah, all right, go ahead.
I had him as number
Do
3.
your thing.
So, I don't want to parrot too much what everyone else is saying. I think we all agree it's a very ugly project that has absolutely no place being in a rural residential area where they're trying to pop it down. It might be fine in a more built-up neighborhood. But this is an area full of single-family residences, duplexes and the like. And the suggestion that, oh, we want to help out starting families by selling a 2-bedroom row house with no land for $345,000. Come on. I also want to point out the Fair Housing Act limits the ability of you to say that there won't be any renters. So you will have to allow a certain number of renters. You can only limit it to the amount of the secondary market's requirements. I live on Fairfax Street. When the road construction was going on, all of you folks on Parsons Ave got to experience what we experience every day. Every day. Fairfax Street is overloaded as is. It is a narrow street. A traffic study on Route 7 is not going to tell you what is going on there. People in those 80 units are not going down to Route 7. They're going up to Fairfax Street to get on the interstate and coming back that way. If you're going to do a traffic study, it needs to be on Fairfax Street, not Route 7. No, but I'm saying it, they're not leaving they're going to leave Parsons Avenue and go to Fairfax Street to get to the interstate. Some will go to Route 7. Harborview, they all go to Route 7.
No, you need 2 counts. I mean, both intersections, I agree.
Right now, and you guys all got to experience what we experience every day. You have to wait to get out of your driveway because of the traffic. And you're gonna throw 80 houses. There's no public transportation. There's no sidewalk. Every one of those 80 houses needs at least 1 car, and most of them are gonna have 2. So that's 160 cars up and down. And they're all gonna be hitting Fairfax Street. And again, there's no sidewalks, so nobody's walking anywhere. There's no public transportation. No one's taking a bus. They're driving up and down Fairfax Street, which can't handle the load that it has right now. It is way too many houses in that area. And if you could easily sell single family and duplexes out there, you could put a dozen single family and duplex units out there and make plenty of money. And you'd be able to sell them at a nice low price that people could afford. But if you want to make it affordable, why don't you try to build a $200,000 house? But
In 2025?
yeah,
$200,000?
exactly.
New
So why don't you
construction?
just,
Yeah.
if there's a house that just sold a 4-bedroom house on a third of an acre for $350,000, and you're trying to sell a row house with 2 bedrooms with no land for $345,000. I think you may be overpricing it. But again, what that's telling me is it's not gonna sell, and it's gonna end up being held by renters. And there's nothing wrong with landlords. Some of my best friends are landlords, but again, the traffic is going to be phenomenal with that many units shoved into that little area. Thank you. Well, there are plenty of grants out there for first-time home buyers. Through the state and through the feds.
Peter Garso, how about you? No, you better come up here. Come on. You sat up here plenty of times. One more time.
Ever been there before?
I've been here before, and I think I had a unique perspective here, obviously, because I've obviously been in front of the board many times. And as the board knows, I own an engineering firm here in St. Albans. I've been here many times out of hundreds and hundreds of DRB meetings. This is the first time that I've spoke, not as an applicant's representative. I'm not going to go over all of the items that are mentioned by the previous people that spoke, but I do have a couple comments and questions for the board to ask the applicant. Just like Carl, Alton was also my client. And after Carl, Alton was my client for this specific property. We actually permitted a single family house on the corner of Parsons Lane and where this access is going to come in. And Alton sat in my office and explained that his future plans was 8 more units. So I find it ironic that we're naming this development after Alton when his wishes were nothing like this. And when we were working on this project, we did a wetland delineation. We have a wetland ecologist on staff. We've used Errol Briggs many years before I had my own ecologist, so I respect him and I know he's a reputable person doing wetland delineations, but his delineation was done originally quite a while ago. And our recent delineation, when we were working with Alton, had this wetland extending further up. And I've talked with Crystal at the state wetland office, and she had mentioned that she thought our delineation was accurate in that area, although we didn't have it verified because the project, Alton got sick and we didn't move forward with the project at that time. So I would just ask that the board maybe ask the applicants to have Errol relook at that with Crystal at the state, because I believe it does extend up, specifically in buildings G and H. We had that wetland going right to the property line, so that'd go right through those 2 units. And just one more item on the traffic. I know people had mentioned that we got a taste of what Fairfax Street deals with on Parsons Ave when the culvert was going in. I noticed that most of that traffic was going down Orchard Street, so we really had a fraction of that. So to put that onto Parsons Ave, I think is going to be even more of an impact than what we were kind of looking at recently over the last month or so. That's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Robin Lavarney, is it? Well, they aren't going to be able to hear you.
Say that I live 4 Purposely Drive in Albans, and it is wet. I mean, this project would be in my backyard. It's just literally just a few feet, and I can't imagine the noise of the traffic that would be coming from my backyard. It actually the car lights. I have a sun porch. Right now it's pretty quiet, very nice, but all I can see is all the cars coming in my backyard, and that's literally in my backyard. I do have, because we've been drought, my backyard is wet, but most of the time it's just like a swamp. Anyway, I wanted to ask the applicants.
Address your question to us and address your question to me, please.
What is the acreage that the project?
10.47, is that correct?
You got it.
Yeah, 10.47 acres.
So that's not a lot of acres for this project. Not a lot of acres at all. And then you're talking, where are the cars going to park?
In parking lots in front of the building.
In the parking lot.
Now we'd be asking the board for 2 spaces.
Well, actually, I believe there's a building between you and the park. There's a building between your backyard and the parking lot. Yes, there is.
What building?
One of the ones they're going to build.
Well.
Let's see here. Where am I? Robin, how about Kimberly Benedict?
I think the simple fact that we say that there's multiple parking lots tells us that it doesn't belong on Parsons Avenue. Just want to thank everybody for going down the list. My list was long, but I think we hit all of the points and we did a great job. Alice, I don't want the dumpster going towards my property.
How about Robert and Alan Gissel? Alan doesn't want to talk?
Nah, you can hear her from. I guess my first question is the board, have there been any subsequent application changes since the initial application from July 8th?
You mean from them?
Yeah, I mean, I,
No.
okay, so I guess that's my biggest problem is one of the big problems is with the application. You know, the impervious square footage area is blank. We don't even know how much square footage is going to be impervious. All this stormwater is going to go across my property. That's on page 1. On page 3, the timeline, there's nothing there. The cost estimate is unknown. The cost estimate references 10 buildings, yet page 1 and the diagram show 8. Without a timeline or cost estimate, are we going to be looking at something like happened in Burlington or is currently occurring in Newport, where they have a big hole in the ground with no plan or money to move forward? I don't know is not an acceptable answer. As far as traffic, I'd want to get a little more specific as far as documents. I've been walking this road for over 20 years. People down there know me. I walk every day, year round. Traffic's going to go down Parsons, as somebody said earlier, around a sharp curve down to Fairfax to 104, and then to the intersection of 104 and the St. Albans State Highway where exit 19 is. The applicants reference ITE, the Traffic Engineering 11th edition. We should have the latest. There is a 12th edition. In their ITE website, it, quote, represents a major update, unquote, on the ITE website. We should have the latest. The town plan, which is, I guess, the overriding Bible of all the other town bylaws, says reduce traffic. It says it constantly, reduce traffic. One of the policies, explore options for calming traffic along town roads to encourage safer, slower, potentially reduce. Key locations for additional study with V-Trans, Northwest Regional Planning Commission, and the city are, one of them is Fairfax Street near Parsons. The other is Fairfax Street near Thorpe Avenue. This has already been looked at. People are saying do traffic studies. Well, there they are, right in the town plan. There are issues there. There's also issues, as you know, along where exit 19 is. That's huge. The state has identified, V-Trans says, the intersection is congested during peak commuting times. It's been identified by V-Trans as a high crash location. It's just going to dump hundreds of cars a day into this already stressed area. I can tell you, 40 years ago, I had party status when Collins Purley was being built. One of the key issues was traffic on Fairfax Street for pedestrians and bicyclists. This is 40 years ago. That road hasn't been improved. In fact, it's even worse. You at Parsons Avenue and Fairfax Street, you have K-rail on each side of the road, pushing people into the road. If somebody's walking with a dog, 2 cars can't pass. If somebody's walking, 2 cars can't pass. This is just an outsized project. Another issue, which I looked at tonight, is renting versus owning. Down the street from us, we have the Westview condominiums. I can give you a date, August 8th, 2014. The Messenger had a multi-page article on the issues at Westview, and it's not pretty. The owner meant to, all good intentions, meant to have condominiums, but now they're all rentals. Read that article, get that article. Unfortunately, I don't have it with me, but I can tell you it's August 8th, 2014 in the Messenger. There are some real issues there, and I don't want to see those happen here across the street from where I own property right now. This project It's out of character for the area, it's too large for the area, and it should not be allowed to proceed. Thank you.
Melissa?
I'm Melissa Cox. I live at 3 Parsons Lane. My land will look right at the first building. Just a couple different things I wanted to circle back to. That pond that they were talking about, there are 3 types of frogs out there, and I believe one is not in the threatened category, not endangered. There are peepers, American bullfrogs, and gray tree frogs. So from an environmental perspective, I think we need to look at that. I moved into my home in 2007 when Harborview was being built, and that's kind of uphill from me. And my backyard, I'm neighbors with Lynn and John, sorry. And my backyard, I thought I had an underground stream. I thought like there was, because the runoff from Harborview into my backyard, it's just completely wet. Now, after 10 years or so, I have seen that has dried up, but that's how long it took for the vegetation to mature. So we didn't have running water in our backyard. I bought that house because of the view and the backyard, and I did hear that the farmer that owned that land had it in some sort of a trust that it would not be developed. Clearly that promise has been broken, but that's maybe besides the point. I am a teacher in the Maple Run Union District, and my boys have gone to St. Albans Town, and I spoke with the secretary and the principal at St. Albans Town, and I don't know if the board has reached out to them to consider the impact on the school. The school is at somewhere, if I remember correctly, somewhere of upwards of 740 something children. The classrooms have 17 to 20 kids in them. Some of them are at 22. So if we can lowball 20 new kids moving into this development up to 2 kids per unit, 160, what is that going to do to St. Albans Town School classroom sizes? Are you going to have to build more classrooms? It has been told to me that they are at capacity as far as children in the classroom sizes. As an educator, I know every 1 or 2 or 3 kids added to my classroom makes it more difficult, not impossible, but difficult to reach all those children and give them the extra attention that they need. And with the influx of more special needs and everything, to have class sizes this big from the children from such a large housing project would somewhat change the landscape of the education the kids would be receiving. I believe that's all I wanted to say from an educator's perspective, a mom's perspective, and the landowner who's going to have to look at the back of this building. Thank you.
Adam Bluen? Bolio, excuse me. I might have had a Bluen somewhere else there. I don't know.
I'll go with half on that. Do I need to use the mic or am I allowed to?
Don't sound like you need it.
Yeah, I've been told that before. So just to confirm with the board, this is the rendering of
I believe that is.
proposed to be developed. I appreciate what everybody has said tonight already. I think the one thing I'd just like to add is from earlier in tonight's conversation, we've discussed and heard that we're trying to keep encompassing of what currently exists. Well, we all know this isn't what looks like currently exists around us right now, just because of the scale of size, right? But also, one of the things I thought when I looked at the plans was a lot of property that we have around us has garages, land. This unit doesn't show that. Well, a lot of people already mentioned that tonight. I actually came from Chittenden County. I'm third generation Vermonter, actually staying around. I think that's a thing for our generation we like to leave. So one of the things I loved about coming up here to Franklin County with St. Albans was really trying to have that hometown feel. And this unit, these 8 units do not show or encompass that to me. I came and I owned a property right off of, you probably know, like Kennedy Drive in South Burlington. I actually lived in a development that was 84 units, and they were townhome style units. One thing that attracted me to them when I bought them was actually that it had a feel of a neighborhood, right? When I look at these plans, it's not what I see. I actually see something that reminds me of the buildings that are closer on top of Fairfax Street, closer to the highway. So I think that I just would like to point out that the justification for what we're trying to build here is not in keeping with what the current surroundings are by and large. Thank you.
Sean Martell?
Sorry.
Hi there, my name is Tamara Martell and I live at 18 Elizabeth Street, and Small Stream is in the back of our property. And I just want to emphasize a couple of points that have already been said. That Rug Brook is one of the most compromised waterways. Small Brook directly drains into Rug Brook. As everyone has said, that land is a sponge. I've walked it many a times before you folks owned it, when Alton had it, and it is a sponge almost 10 months out of the year. I think the other really important thing that I'd like to share that struck me this evening was the Jake and Bonnie and their engineer Carl came in, and they used a lot of great buzzwords about inclusivity and first-time homeowners and veterans. And what's interesting is all of us are those things. And they mentioned that, you know, there's $400,000, $600,000 homes. And yes, there are $600,000 homes, but there are more modest homes in that neighborhood. So I just want to make sure that, you know, we're not making assumptions about who we are and what our intentions are, and that we're all NIMBYs, not in my backyard. I think, you know, we want housing, but we want it in character with the neighborhood. The other thing, though, they came prepared with all these great buzzwords, but they're ill prepared with everything else. And that's been pointed out by several other commenters here. When Jake had mentioned that they're thinking about creating the HOA bylaws, and maybe 10% or not are going to be rented. You know, Bonnie had mentioned she's vacillating between, well, we're going to sell to families, and then no, there won't be any kids because the apartments aren't big enough. And I guess I'd love the board to consider the experience and capacity of the developer. You know, we have an opportunity to be very thoughtful and intentional about the type of development we allow in St. Albans. We all want our property to grow. We all want a thriving city, and we all want, or town, and we all want a place that's welcoming, but we do want to be thoughtful and intentional. And I don't think that the application and their comments tonight reflect that. I think the other thing is the best predictor of future behavior is past behavior. So if we look at the other developments that they've been involved in, I think it'll likely tell us the character of the development that they're considering here. Thank you.
Ben O'Neill?
Hi, everybody. Here, hear me? I live in 479 Harbor View. I did just buy my house last year, so I've been just here in 6 months and I'm home. I am neighbors with Alice over there. And they touched on a lot of points, but one thing I really want to get at is between D and H, I have no clue how it is not wetlands back there. You can come to my yard tomorrow and walk down where I mow, and water will go over your shoes today. And it's been dry, like, it's dry. The other thing I wanted to get off, you said Route 7 doesn't have much traffic. Have you ever been to town school at 7:30 in the morning? This is a single system, one at PFA, one at town school. PFA does not get bus. Where are these kids are parking? But then I'm confused because the developer says we're gonna sell to veterans, single moms, families, but then we're not gonna sell to families, we're gonna go more. I was just confused with the whole selling point, who and what we're gonna really target for buyers on those homes. So I don't really know. I just want to say that BFA, they walk, they're drive. Have you ever parked at BFA? Have you ever seen your kids try to park at BFA? during the, it's impossible. It is impossible. They carpool, they walk, then Fair Fax Street. You got the soccer field and stuff, all those kids going down Fairfax Street, that's gonna add a lot of traffic. And it's not safe. I mean, it's not safe now, let alone after a soccer game. You got 160 cars, you got these kids walking down the street, going home. What's my on there?
No sidewalk.
No sidewalks. We are fortunate, we do have sidewalks, we're 7 now, right at Carver Field, thank God, but, and yeah, we moved here for single family homes. Having storage and neatness, and like a tight HOA was something that me and my wife really sought after for. We have, we've got our community, our review, we've got the one above us, and they're all very nice homes, nice and neat. I feel like that's something that we saw after for, and people who are coming here, or saw after for, and we don't need a multi-unit apartment building smack dab in that community. It's just, it's ill fit, it doesn't work, and like, everybody has snow tires, right, too, like, you hit this point, but where are they gonna store their snow tires in a 1200 square foot apartment? All these complexes, like, I go everywhere. And I see a lot of tires out front and units that they're talking about, up on porches in the driveway. It'll fit for a community what we were really driving for up there, and it'd be sad to see it rain.
When I went to BFA, I parked up in the parking lot.
I did too.
It was a parking lot back then.
Gail Hemingway,
I think all the points have been touched on, except that if this happens, we might all sell our homes and there'll be more available.
thank you.
No, I'm just staying with the current theme of clapping at everybody. Yeah. But if it sells for a good price, probably.
345,000.
Andrea Gunter,
I'm all good.
you're all good?
You have a question too. Hand raise on you. There's a hand raise on.
I think she's falling asleep, that's what I think.
Oh, I saw.
8:45, let her know.
Please get over.
Is it- I can't see that. Is there someone there that wants to speak or not?
Yeah, there's. Someone to, hey, Corey. Just give it. Corey, you got someone in the waiting room too. There's someone in the box, don't worry about it.
Starting to get worried.
Why not ask permission to say something that all happens in public?
Is your name on here?
No.
Well, can I get the rest of these guys speak first and then we'll get to you? I only got 6 more names on here, believe it or not.
Shannon is on there and she's raising her hand. She is a night nurse. She really might need to go to work. I'm not kidding.
Well, if, she has a voice, does she not?
Yeah.
You have to.
Do you have something to say?
No, you have to unmute.
Shannon?
She has to unmute herself.
I think it was just.
Everything has already been talked about for me.
Yes, I believe you're probably correct.
Yes. And I did send an email with my concerns as well.
Since you sent an email with her concerns.
Yes, we have that. Anything else?
Nope, everything's already been talked about.
Okay, thank you much. Joshua?
Just want to make sure I'm speaking loudly enough. I live on Orchard Street. My partner's mom lives on Parsons, right directly across from the proposed development. I think everything's pretty much been touched on, but I just wanted to bring awareness just to the introduction. We have 3 speakers in front of us, but I feel like there was 3 different messages brought up. I know we were talking about new families, veterans, first-time homeowners, but I also heard mention from Carl directly, just kind of investment flipping. Is this for families? Is this for veterans? Or is this people who are buying and then flipping properties? Because we don't want short-term people here. We want people that are going to develop and be a part of the community and make something of St. Albans, not short-term people. That's about it.
Betsy Holcomb? She laughed. Why, can you believe that? Carrie Holmes?
Hi.
Hi.
I don't have anything new to add. I just think it's way too large of a project and I'm concerned about the traffic and the school primarily. I like to go walking and it's already difficult.
Okay. How about Michael Thomas?
We don't need more houses, we can wait for that, all right? The good magnitude of this housing, what I don't see is investment in ancillary services. Northwestern as itself is heavily taxed. Any other type of service around for veterans who don't have or need. I hear and understand you want to make the, get the best bang for your buck. Nobody wants to invest in something and come out even, break even, or below. But I don't hear about investing in the community. We want to make this a community within our community. But I don't hear about investing in the community itself, with the bucks you're going to be making. We're going to be needing more services, whether it's from fire, police, medical, school. And it's already brought up with regard to the traffic study that wasn't done on that road itself. Now, I've gone up and down that road when they closed off Fairfax. And I've had many a time where I had to slow down below the speed limit with an approaching car because I didn't want to take out somebody's mailbox or get in. Where's the investment in the community? I'm not saying don't bring in housing. We need housing. People need housing. But you need to bring in more than that. If they're gonna go to a supermarket, it's on the north side. You don't have public transportation. What are you going to do to help us?
Shirley Babcock? Do we have such an individual?
She laughed.
She laughed. Okay, sir, you wanted to say something. I'm going to allow you to do it though.
My name is Mike Fisher. I'm not against development. But what I am concerned is what is the impact of something like this on the seriously depleted sewage treatment plant here in the city?
Well, I believe we have concluded our festivities for the evening. Yes, Peter?
My next door neighbors couldn't be here and Sherry just wanted me to ask questions of the board. Have any of you people gone up to look at where they want to build this?
Yeah, I do pretty near every day.
Do you?
Yeah.
Yes.
I myself was a very good friend of Alton, so I helped him build his barn and was remodeling the house on the property when he died, so I know Alton quite well, what his plans were, so I don't know what you need to know that. Well then, I guess, well, Ed?
Yeah, you explain the process moving forward here.
Well, different things. We could approve this plan as it was presented tonight. You know, and certainly that would end up in court somewhere and nobody would be too happy about that. We could deny it. Say, hey, we agree with y'all, don't belong here. And they'll take it to court. Or we might continue it and say, well, we'd like a little more information. We'd like to see you make a few changes. And have it come back to it. Those are the three options that we have.
So the board will develop a list of action.
We will develop a list of information we feel would be appropriate moving forward.
Unless we be public.
If you are an interested party status, you will get any information that we have asked for or is sent to us.
How will that information be getting from?
Well, I have no clue. AJ, how's that? I only sit here in the big chair. I don't know anything else.
Copy of the decision in the mail and the interested party. If it's a continuation, we will be posting all that relevant information, just like we would a regular hearing. You can also call. I would love if you give me a few hours in the morning to try and figure out how to have 50 people call, but I do need to. We have 5 business days to get our minutes done. The minutes are going to include the motion as well. That's all.
Can we give you our email addresses? I don't think it's on the sign.
You can absolutely, if you would just send me an email, that would be helpful. So I don't have to take everyone's email right now. I don't think I have yours. I think I've corresponded with most of you, but anybody can send an email out.
Other questions?
A question about interested parties. For any of the streets that, in order to get out of your neighborhood at all, you have to use Fairfax. They're not able to consider it interested party. No, we are. Like Fort Avenue extension of neighborhoods.
Well, you know, there are rules as who can be considered an interested party. You know, within the neighborhood, somewhere you gotta draw the line, right? I mean, I'm in the neighborhood. A little far out, but I'm in the neighborhood. So, you know, if your name is on this list, then you're considered an interested party. We didn't discriminate where your address was. All right? Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to say that we appreciate and hear all the feedback from everybody, and we're taking that on board. And it's important to us, and it's not lost on us. And I appreciate the comments. I don't know her name, but there was some misinformation that I would like to clear up, if I may.
Well, I don't know that
Inaccurate information, I should say, that the information that was given, for example, all the projects that I've been involved in, and I've been involved in building for 22 years, so I have experience. The projects that we built were very intentional with the purpose. When we rented them, they were built for rentals. The Cadillac Motel is a project that I was very passionate about because it was something that meant something to me. Ending up in a partnership dispute is what caused us to have to sell those units. These units are built to be affordable. We can't build garages and the architecture, or we're going to be at a $400,000 and $500,000 home. Building costs are astronomical right now. The units that we're proposing to build are entry-level units that are intended to be, again, the first time home ownership. And when he mentioned flipping, that's not the goal. The goal is to live in it and to be able to move forward. So, as a builder,
I think they're done. Give me a few minutes and you can finish if you want. And to say they're done.
builders build to make money.
Absolutely.
And to put money back into the community is what we pay taxes for. So to assume that we're not here out of a personal project and to assume
Right, so you're visiting outside. Unless you want to stay here and hear what she has to say.
So we're obviously building to make money. As I said, builders don't do this for free. That is our goal. That's my job. That's how we make money. We pay taxes like everybody else. We put it back into the community. So it is a personal project. I am Bonnie Johnson. I am not Bonnie Turner. And I am a builder that has integrity. And that's how we're moving forward with this project. Children don't make families. Families make families. Individuals make families. That's it.
So Brent, I mean, I think the best thing to be maybe decide is to continue. We'd like to revisit a few things based on what we've heard. The only thing I gotta add is the integration of it is a cow pond. I mean, Errol Briggs is an old school guy. I went out with him. I actually drove him around in my car with Crystal Sewell last year to look at these. There's no hiding it. I mean, I did Harbor View. It's the poorest soils in my career. They're poorly drained soils. Everybody knows that. That's why we have to design a 100-year pond. That's why during 2011, it didn't overflow Route 7 because it's a gargantuan pond. That's the scale that we're going to have to do here. It's smaller scale, obviously. There's a lot more impervious. Harbor View's, leaps and bounds magnitude higher, but I think it's all important to note that we didn't have an overflow of Route 7 in 2011. That's the kind of design I want to run, and we don't want to have anybody any problems. The other thing I want to clarify is we did reach out to Public Works. I know we caused quite a ruckus at Harbor View because there was no sewer capacity, and we bought it out so we could build a project because we didn't want to have a farm field without any houses. So we reached out to Marty Manahan, and he told us that there was sewer capacity, so that wasn't a problem. So those are all things that I think, we did some homework on. We didn't just come in willy-nilly. So I think that should be known. That's all I have.
This project has not approached the city about capacity at this time.
We sent an email, asked if there was capacity, but we haven't filled out all the paperwork. That's correct.
There be another, like if this is continued, would there be another hearing that's noticed?
Sounds to me like you Harbor View people want to get after your developer and have them do something that you want.
I just want to clarify point though to your question. If the hearing is continued, it will be more than the paper, but all the are going to serve right now. I think that's going to show that everybody who passed, but it's not the same as the original.
So notice, I just want to make sure I don't miss a notice, so.
It'll be on our Facebook, it'll be on our website.
I know, but I have to go, the interested parties have to go look.
It'll also be registered, it'll be posted throughout town.
You will not get a registered letter.
You will not,
And continue me.
But if you apply for our email, absolutely, okay, or you can call, or you can, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, if this meeting was to be continued, I'm gonna say, without speaking with the rest of the board, I'm just shooting off the cuff here, maybe out a month to give these people time to make adjustments if they feel they need to and whatever. So, you might be looking for it 28th of September.
So you will get.
So I think that is the conclusion of this meeting. Not bad though. If we stayed till 11 o'clock at Walmart, week upon week upon week. I've been doing this a long time.
Thank you.
That's so discouraging.
Thank you, Brent. Thank you, board.